Hola from the west side. It is me, DC and the Purple Diva, and welcome to Not So Random Chat. Happy Tuesday. Hey, Adelina. Happy Tuesday. So let me do what I normally do, y'all. Let me cut down my sound on my computer, and I'm going to share myself out. Even though I am seeing that my notifications are, I think, going out, but I'm gonna do it anyway because it's just good to put your own stuff out there. Promote yourself, I say. So let me just do that real fast. Come on through. Let's talk. Let's talk. Okay, so I got that. I can spell. I'm telling y'all. All them years of private school and college, sometimes I don't spell right. All right, let me get that together. Okay, yeah. Got all my punctuations together. Hey, Joe. Hey, Matt. So special shouts out. I want to give shouts out to two female content creators, two of the sisters. Um, let's learn about Crystal. Fire content. Fire content. And Uppity Unicorn. She was having a very good conversation right before I got online for my chat. So shouts out to them. Hola, Maria. So how was everybody's day at work today? It was a good day at work today. I mean, I got through it, even though I was up half the night with David. Y'all saw him last night about to have that meltdown. It was a long night, y'all. It was a long night. But I survived, and he survived. And I got about an hour of sleep, literally. But I want to talk about a couple of things. Well, I want to talk about one thing that I saw on Facebook. Thank you. Yeah, it's very. We've got a lot of ash in the air where I am, you guys, and really, I really think that that's the reason why it's like so hot all the time, even at night now. And it's, like in the morning, it took a long time for the sun to break through because we gotta look. The clouds from the smoke is burning everywhere. Going everywhere, and depending on where you are, in some areas, it's caused like really bad. They're having like really bad windstorms up in Oregon because I have a couple of coworkers that live up in Oregon, and in the area that they're in, um, she was telling me that if you just went outside, it was so windy, and it was that it burned your eyes, and she didn't even really want to let her pet go outside. Oh, that was last night. Yeah, last night David was acting he was yeah. He he's not down here tonight, so he may pop in, but for right now he's not down here. He's been pretty much locked up in his room all day. You know, that's how he's doing. But I want to talk to you guys. I saw this video on Facebook, And if I wouldn't get a copyright strike from World Star for posting their stuff, I would, play part of it for you guys. But basically, it was this black federal officer. I believe she works in customs, who was talking about, and she's in Alabama, and she was talking about an incident that happened earlier this month where she was racially profiled by officers in a specific county. I believe it was Black County, Alabama, and how the officers knew she was a police officer. What he didn't know is that prior to her being a federal officer, she also served as a deputy sheriff for like 9 years. So she knew what her rights were. So she asked this gentleman why he stopped her. This is why he stopped her. He gave a ridiculous reason. He said that she was driving too close to the car in front of her. Now, y'all, mind you, this is during rush hour traffic or whatever their heavier traffic is, you know. So I know it's probably not as heavy as it is here in California, but I guess it was some heavier traffic. And so, maybe. So you know about what I'm talking about. Yeah, her last name is Jackson. I don't know what her first name is, but this was posted on World Star, and then it's been reposted on Facebook, and it's I think it's going viral. So she was given 2 tickets. The first ticket was for, they told her that she was on her phone. She said she was not on her phone. She had her phone on Pandora playing gospel music. And then the second was because they said she was driving too close to the car in front of her. So, she said that she actually went and talked to, I guess, the chief. And what the chief told her is that they don't give out tickets. And that these particular officers, one of these particular officers was one of those was an officer who was looking for drugs. That's what he did mainly. He wasn't a traffic officer. So that's what they were looking for. They thought that she might have been a male because of the way she has her hair cut. And although she had her windows down, because she was a black person, they thought was a male, they were stopping her to see if she had any drugs. Now, I don't know if this is the first time that she got harassed, but it was, here comes King David, y'all. But it was really evident, that this was some lame ass attempt to do racial profiling. And she made a very good point in her video. She said that she's for Black Lives Matter before she's for Blue Lives Matter. And it's the same thing that I told you guys before. Being a police officer is a job. So you have a choice in it. We do not have a choice in being what they consider Black or African American or whatever else it is that you want to call it. We don't have no choice in that. So, and she's not the first officer who's been profiled. And I mean, she talked about in this experience that she had her gun in the car, and I guess in the middle panel thing in the middle between the seats. And, you know, that if she had not been dressed in her uniform, you know, with her badge and everything on her, that if they had seen that this gun, because this was one of them young ain'tsy um, white boys, that it could have been a very bad situation. In addition to that, I believe she said that she had her friend on FaceTime when the officers pulled her over as a precaution. Y'all, see, that's part of the thing we need to make sure that people know that this is happening to our men and to our women. They don't give a damn. They do not give a damn. Cullum County. Okay, yeah, Cullum County. And here's the thing. She said that she had been looking at houses in Cullum County because it would have made her closer to her job, which is in Huntsville. But because of this treatment, she has no desire to live there now. You know, I mean, and we know of police officers, just regular like city police officers or state police officers or whatever, who happen to be men of color who are stopped and nobody, and if they don't have on their uniform, they don't care. And even if they have their badge and identify themselves to these officers in other agencies, if the officers are not black and have issues, then they may have an issue with him. You know, I mean, this is, yep, I-65. Exactly, Joe. It happened on I-65. And I watched the video, and I actually downloaded it from Facebook because I just so I could keep it in case it gets lost, because I wanted to look at it again. But that young lady, that whole situation could have gone a whole different way if she did not know how to handle herself. And she has the same training, or probably better training, than the fool that harassed her on the side of I-65. Hey, tattered hearts. I mean, that is just, I'm not surprised, but it's still heartbreaking. But like I said, it's on World Star, so it's gonna be viral. You know, and sadly, it's sad that this is the kind of stuff that has to go viral for people to care. Got to go viral for people to care. And see, I told y'all, Joe, I told you before. I said that I like Alabama. My my people's from Alabama. You know, my grandfather, my dad's father, was born in Mobile. My uncle was born in Mobile by accident. By accident. But beautiful. The state of Alabama is beautiful. And I mean, and you can get, man, you can get you some property. I could probably afford to pay cash for a house in Alabama, and it'd be a nice house. But that other stuff, y'all, and I know it's everywhere. I know it's everywhere. You know, my brother went to military school in Alabama for I believe it was for 2 years of high school. And for those of you who saw my 40 questions challenge video, I popped up a picture in there of me, my sister, and brother. And my brother is a dark chocolate, okay? And he's 6'6". Kind of hard for him to not stand out, okay? So going to Alabama for a young man who had lived in DC and then moved to California, he had never been in that kind of situation where he was called boy. Other than, my dad saying, boy, you better do what I said, that kind of stuff. But outside of being called that, by a parent in a disciplinary situation, he had never dealt with that. But my brother was smart and still is, because he lives in the South now. So, and he just, he stayed away from them white girls in that little small town with the military school. And he said it was a couple of the other, because it was a few of the black boys that were at this school. I think it was in Marion, Alabama, wherever the heck that is. But that was his introduction to that. That's why I was surprised that he moved back to the South. But he got married, and his wife was from Georgia, so he moved to Georgia. So he lives outside of Atlanta. But for all intents and purposes, although my brother was in DC, when he was younger, he moved to California under the age, when he was like, I'd say like 7 or 8, okay? And so, my brother's pretty much a California boy. I mean, he went to high school with, with the little girl that was on Saved by the Bell, Lark, and he lived around the corner from Jaleel White, the one who played Urkel. Okay, that's where my brother grew up. So, yeah, he was not ready for that for Alabama. He was not ready for the Deep South. I know it's cheap. I know it is, but I know, and I know it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, they got like places in Alabama where they just got fields of flowers out in the country. I know it's beautiful there. But I doubt seriously that would be one of the places that I would ever be moving. Number one, because y'all know my life is involves what kind of services do they have for adults on the autism spectrum. So, yeah. If we can't guarantee that those are going to be decent, then we can't even comprehend that. We can't even think about it. But, for the moment, where we are is where we are. Cali. But I will say that the California that I'm in today is not the California that I went to college in. It's not the LA that I was in when I came out here to go to college. It's changed a lot. I mean, to me, it was always expensive out here, but now it's obviously much more. It's almost to the ridiculous point. You know, it's almost to the ridiculous point. Oh, you live near a national forest? See, that's the thing that I miss about the East Coast is all the trees. I mean, like growing up, in DC and then out in Maryland and everything. I mean, we had like woods all over the place, you know, and they weren't like they were woods that like, as kids, we would go walking through them at night with our crazy asses, you know, but I grew up in the 70s, okay, for the most part. I turned 18 in the early 80s. So, yes. Man, we did crazy stuff when I was growing up. We would hitchhike, me and my girlfriends would hitchhike to go to parties and stuff. I guess in our minds we figured since there was a few of us that they wouldn't take us off nowhere and do nothing crazy. I don't know what we were thinking because we never did it by ourselves, you know. Or we would catch the bus until we were old enough to have a license and somebody actually had a car. But these days, it's not like that. It ain't even like that nowhere. We got palm trees, yeah, but I'm talking about like I'm talking about the kind of trees that you only find like on the East Coast, like driving up I-95, and there's trees on both sides of the interstate as you're driving up the interstate, that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that you don't have that here in California, but it's just they don't have, you know, a lot of that. Because, you know, at least not in Southern California. In Northern California, they do. Northern California, they got all of that. And from what I understand, and I think I've said this before, that the people up in the Bay Area and north of there are more like the East Coast than here. Southern California is Hollywood. A lot of fake people, you know. And I'm not, y'all know, I ain't even with all that. It's a very different world. I mean, it's a very different world. Man, you know, depending on where you live, and I'm saying this is depending on where you live, kids can't even play in front of their own house. You can't sit on your own front porch. You know, it's you got to worry about all those gunshots or what those fireworks. I heard. It's like that for some. And I told y'all guys yesterday. I mean, they it's bad in Chicago right now. It's just getting crazy. Yeah, Northern California is beautiful. I mean, not that Southern California isn't, but Northern California just is more reminiscent of the East Coast. And, you know, the way the people are as well, you know. I'm not saying that you don't find down to earth people in SoCal because that would be a lie. There are some, but for the most part, they're not from here. They came here from someplace else, you know. But surprisingly, there are quite a few people um, that are in the LA area that are from Washington D.C. Um, there's obviously a lot up here from New Orleans. So I mean, and then you got people that have migrated here from Chicago. And I'm just talking about, as far as I'm not talking about you, sweetie. I'm talking about earlier than you. Yeah. I'm talking about where people came from earlier, like in the 50s and stuff, people will come in here. But I would say that a lot of people that are from the part of the country that I'm from, they don't leave that area. Most of the people that I went to high school with still live in the DC area. Most of them do. I mean, all of my best friends are are all back home in DC. I mean, not to say that I don't have friends in LA. Yeah, I do. But these are the people who have known me since I was a kid, and we're still friends. So it's different because they know me. They even if they're not around me every day, they still see the same person that I was when I was younger because they've known me at all the stages of my life. You know, and shoot, DC's a good friend. But I would say I'm probably typical, even though I'm not really one of those people that's into quote unquote astrology. But I am probably like what they consider, females born at my time of the year, February, early February, artsy. I'm definitely artsy. Definitely don't really give a good goddamn about a lot of stuff. And yeah, I probably went through a period of time in my life when I thought I knew it all. I probably did. I would say that was a time for me. Anyway, I'm not even listening to my dude is over here clowning. Okay, so we're not even gonna listen to to, to Mr. Southside over here. You lived in Nashville. A lot of people from Southern. Well, I mean, here's the thing. When I came to California, uh, and when I went to SC, a lot of people want to know why I didn't go to Howard. Like, if you're from DC, that's where you're going to go to school. But what they don't know is that most of us who are from DC, even if we do go to a HBCU, we go somewhere else. We don't go to school. We don't necessarily go to Howard. Now, I got into Howard, but but when I was getting ready to go to college, Howard did not have an accredited architecture program. And at that time, I wanted to study architecture. So therefore, I went to Hampton, who did have an accredited architecture program. Now, later on, we changed our major to math and minored in comp sci, but that's besides the point. We're talking about me. But, you know, that's beside the point. The point is that, I went and looked for a school that had an accredited program in what I wanted to do. But there's a lot of people that move from California to other parts of the country, you know, and I can honestly say that DC is one of those places that a lot of people, just don't leave. And it's not because they can't leave, but I don't know where the other one is. Go ahead, take it. Go ahead, take it. You know what? Whatever. Anyway, there's a lot of my friends, back home work either for the state, for Maryland or Virginia, or they work for the city, for DC, or they work for the federal government. You know, then y'all look at DC. DC has purple hair, y'all. DC has tattoos. DC, has piercings. So I'm not probably not saying that I haven't done the corporate thing, because I definitely did. You know, I was all the way up to an SVP, and I wasn't wearing my hair purple at that point, but I had all the tattoos and stuff, and I had the piercings. But my tattoos were all covered up when I would be at work. Now, since I work from home and have worked from home for like 10 years, I wear my hair any way I want. I'm not conservative, and I probably would have had to be more conservative if I had stayed back home in DC, because I'm probably the least conservative of my friends. Because people think DC's not it's not liberal. They're conservative. It's the Northeast. Even, they have the Northeast attitude there. Oh yeah, Rockville. Yeah, I have friends. I have friends out in Rockville. I have friends out in Rockville. Rockville is in Montgomery County. And like, yeah, Silver Springs is in Montgomery County too. Like Dave Chappelle, you guys know the comic Dave Chappelle. Yeah, he's from DC like me, but he's really a suburbs dude. Like, he did never live in DC. I lived in DC. My parents did not move to the suburbs until I was in high school. So, and let's just say, we didn't live in, you know, the really nice neighborhood. I mean, we lived in a neighborhood where if you called the police And I mean, I could literally see the police precinct from my bedroom window. But if we called the police, I could walk to the police station um, faster than they would come to my house. And they were right down the street. I could literally see them from my house. So that's the kind of neighborhood I lived in when we lived in DC. I could tell y'all some stories. One of these days, I'll give y'all some story times about some stuff that happened in that neighborhood before we moved to the suburbs that my parents did not know about until I was an adult. But yeah, DC had some ways about her. She knew how to do certain things, even though she was in Catholic school for 12 years. But yeah, Dave Chappelle grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland. And, I mean, when I was growing up in DC, it was very, very Black American. Now, I mean, it was like 75% Black. Now it is, I would say, maybe 50 or maybe 60%. It might, it's getting tanner rather than chocolate. It's Southeast DC. Oh, I grew up in Northeast DC. Let me just clarify that part first. Southeast DC, I went to school in Southeast DC. Yeah. Um, Green Valley is is where the projects are in Southeast DC. That's the roughest part of of Southeast. Yeah. There's some nice parts of Southeast, but the part of Southeast that was closest to where my parents moved when we moved out of the city was the bad part. It was where you could go get the drugs. If you wanted drugs, we could drive up into Valley Green. And you make it quick. Make it quick because they knew who lived there and who didn't. It was that kind of situation. But yeah, Southeast is the notoriously worst part of DC, but it's specifically the part of Southeast that borders um, Prince George's County. Because Martin Luther King Avenue is in Southeast DC. Okay, so just like Martin Luther King Avenue is in South Central LA, Martin Luther King Avenue in DC is in Southeast DC. Yeah, I mean, Southwest is nice, Northwest is nice, and depending on where you are in Northeast, if you're not over by if you weren't in the Anacostia area, you're good. Anacostia, you just don't go over there unless you knew people over there. Yeah, Northwest is nicer. That's when I lived in DC, my parents, we lived in Northwest first, then we lived in Northeast. And then we moved to Maryland. But even in the part of Maryland that we were in, like where we were, there was all these nice houses and everything, and there was hardly any blacks there when we first moved there. But then around the corner and down the hill was was the projects. the Maryland side. It was this place they called Park Ken. Whew. It was like all the ghetto folk moved that couldn't afford to get into a house in Peachey County, moved to them apartments. And I used to have to catch the bus in front of those apartments to go to school, to high school. But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you how different LA is from when I first came here. When I first came to LA, nobody wanted to go to downtown LA. The only thing in downtown LA was Skid Row and a couple of stores, and then this place that they called the Alley, which was by Skid Row, but you could get real cheap stuff that was, well, I say cheaply priced stuff that was nicely made because it was in the garment district. But other than that, you didn't go into downtown LA. Now they have apartments and all kinds of underground malls and stuff in downtown LA. And they now have, you know, the Lakers playing in downtown LA and the Clippers, but soon the Clippers will be moving to Inglewood along with the Chargers and the Rams. Matter of fact, they're going to start playing football in that daggone stadium uh, this weekend. Yes, this weekend. They start playing. So it's going to be interesting, y'all, watching football and there's nobody in the stadium but the football players and then, the staff and stuff for the most part. I mean, you guys have seen the basketball games, but this is the way it's going to be for the moment, you know? And it seems to be working. They're not having a whole bunch of people getting, this COVID. And like we've been watching the behind the scenes stuff in training camp for like the Chargers and for the Rams. And it's like the football teams have been thinking about how they're going to be approaching the stuff with Black Lives Matter. But here's my issue. I'm going to tell y'all this one more time. The organization Black Lives Matter is not about all Black lives mattering. So when I say all Black Lives Matter, I'm not making any references to that particular organization. And I say this every time because I need y'all to know this. If you don't know it, you need to know it. You need to know that information. There's quite a few videos floating around YouTube that are going to tell you exactly that they are not about Black Lives Matter is about women and then LGBTQ or whatever, the alphabet community that happen to be Black. I'm just telling you that's really what they're about. But you don't have to believe me. I've encouraged people every time I say this to please go out to their website and read their stuff. Read the fine print. Read the fine print. And read in between the lines and look at what they say and what they don't say. Because trust me, they're hiding it in plain sight. They really not hiding it. People just don't read. Miami put the Bucks out. Oh yeah. Yeah, didn't that now yeah. Now one thing that it was interesting that they were showing on the behind the scenes thing for the Chargers and for the Rams, they they're they're testing those players every single day. And they're walking around those training facilities with masks on. If they find out, if they test positive, they can't come back until they test negative. They ain't playing, you know. And see, the thing is that if you out, you're not getting paid. They not, you don't get paid. So they understand the seriousness of it, of keeping themselves healthy and not being out there doing nothing stupid. But yeah, I'm not with the group thing either. I'm about I'm about there being some reform, some type of extreme reform to law enforcement, so that we don't have idiots doing stupid stuff like what happened to this young lady in Alabama. We don't have people like this young man who got shot, what, 7 times in the back and may be paralyzed for the rest of his life. We don't have another George Floyd. We don't have another Sandra Bland. You know, we don't have another Mike Garner. But they ain't stopping y'all. So if they don't stop, then we can't stop. Not if we're serious about protecting, the next generation. That's just what it is. And the sooner that black folk who are fighting each other understand that, the better. Because that stuff got to stop too. You know, and we can't. We got to get past this. This plantation mentality. You know, this all of this stuff that they have done to mess up the black family, to you know traumatize us, as a group of people in this country, because we're a group of people. We're not a race, because there's only the human race. Only the human race. Exactly. It's about the police. I mean, we've been saying this since the riot, since Rodney King. We've been saying it since before then. You know, I mean, a lot of damage has been done to black people since the 70s. Since Nixon decided to declare a war on drugs, and the drug he declared war on was marijuana. and you had black people going to prison for ridiculous terms in comparison to their white counterparts. So we have broken law enforcement along with broken judicial system that allowed stack charges, that allowed the DAs to do whatever the hell they want. That's what we've been dealing with. And all of that, that's what needs to be fixed. And let's be honest. Do either one of the candidates that we have for president even give a damn about that? Because I'm just going to be honest with you. To me, Kamala Harris is problematic for Joe Biden. I'm just saying. Because, she says she's black, okay. But the only reason she's black American is because she was born in America. Neither one of her parents was a black American. Okay? So, and going to an HBCU does not make you, it's not what you need to do to make yourself black enough. And, my other issues with her is that she's black when it's convenient. Then, she's Indian. So it's girl bye. And y'all know the state of California has a real issue with her. I'm just, she being on the ticket might turn the state of California purple. And I'm not saying I'm saying it's because there's a lot of Democrats, quote unquote, card carrying Democrats in this state that have an issue with her. But here's my thing. I just want people to vote. I don't want to see another 60% election, y'all. I don't want to see that again. That's the most important thing. Because we know neither one of these candidates is for us. And the wild thing is that if you guys do your history and look at both of the parties in the past, in the far past at this point, it was the Republican Party that was really looking out for black people at one point. And then somewhere that changed. And then it appeared to be the Democratic Party. But but at this point, neither one of them. Because for the most part, the leaders in both parties are a bunch of old white men. I said it. And that's why we keep having these old people. And I'm an old person, so hey, okay. But I ain't as old as they are. Y'all know my gripe. I'm tired of when we gonna get a president that's under the age of 70 again. When that gonna happen? When is that gonna happen again? And let's be honest about this also. If Biden wins, if he wins, he would probably only do it for 4 years. But maybe that's all we need. Is somebody else in there for 4 years. Give us enough time to find somebody, somebody, somebody in this country that is younger, that really cares about the country and the people in this country. I know that's a long shot, but that's really what we need. We do. We need a reformist. We need a reformist. Not what we keep getting, just churning up the same old thing, putting a different person in there and slapping them up there as the candidate. No, no, it is not the party of Lincoln. It is not. And I'ma just be honest. I don't even think I I would say probably part all of my adult life, it has not been a party that was for, you know, black people. I don't think that they've had our best interests in place since the 70s. Because by the 80s, you know, look what Clinton did. Look what he did. Okay? And then nobody fixed it after that. Nobody. It still hasn't been fixed. This president has chip chap 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 chapped about it, you know. And okay, nice gesture for you doing Kim Kardashian's whims and getting this black person and that black person and this black person and that black person out. But what about fixing it so we don't have these people going in the first place at the national level? At the national level. Hey, Terry. But I know that's too much to ask. But it's just sad that in less than 90 days we may have the same person, or we may have a different person that's not much better for a president, and this is all we have to choose from. It's pretty sad. And I mean, let me just y'all know that the gap is getting closer between the two as we get closer to the election. Mr. Biden does not have as much of a lead over Trump as he did before. And, just like with when the younger Bush, the one who cheated his way into the White House, got reelected the second time, that was miserable for me. I wasn't even home. I had done absentee voting for the election that year. But anyway, I was actually in Texas. It was awful. But I had to resign myself to 4 more years of him because the people had spoken. So I believe that this election will be much, much different. Number one, because of COVID, thank God, we won't have all this mudslinging that we had between 45 and Hillary Clinton. You know, um, and it just would be just pretty distasteful to do that at this point. Hey, Hanny. Well, y'all, I'll have the conversation about Kim Kardashian tomorrow because I see that my time is up. I'm at an hour. And since I didn't get much sleep last night, I am definitely not going to stay on here much longer. But I will be back on tomorrow. Let me come on camera for a second. Hey, guys. See my shiny face? Because it is really, really warm in here. Here comes David. He's coming, y'all. He's coming. He's coming. Y'all see him? You see him? You see him? There he is. Say hi.
Hi.
All right. You're okay. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for coming through. I will be back on tomorrow. And I have some things that I didn't get to talk to you guys about tonight that I will talk about on tomorrow. So I won't be, yeah, I'm trying to keep it to about an hour, Terry, because people in the replay, if I do a longer than that, people aren't going to watch it. But I have got my Nightbot, so I will be starting to do some of those overnights that are just like playing playlists of some of my old lives. I may do one where it just plays the ones where you and I, Terry, did that. I may do that as a premiere, playing those. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do it, but it's coming. Yeah, I don't know how to turn Nightbot on yet. So until I figure out how to turn Nightbot on, I'm not going to do an overnight. But once I figure out how to turn him on, then he will be in the chat for those long overnights. Because y'all, I'm trying to get to that 4,000. But I'm out of here. Thank you guys for coming. Until the next time, I offer you guys peace and blessings from the West Side. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.